For a roster with a death timer, Fnatic performed very well at WSG, where they took home the first place prize of $800,000 after besting Space Soldiers 2-1 in a best of 3 grand finals. Last week it was reported that Fnatic was going to replace their current in-game leader Golden with the former NIP leader Exist, but it seems for now at least that move has been delayed. Crims had a lights out performance this event, with a 1.3 rating overall and over 100 kills positive in his kill to death ratio. With such an impressive performance, Crims was able to take home a fresh HLTV MVP medal after the event. Looking back over WSG, there are certainly things to take from this event. First being that a big prize pool doesn't always mean a great event. We've seen the rise of Team 1, who made their way to the semi-finals after defeating Cloud9 of all teams in a best of 3 series. Upsets may happen all the time, but when a team that isn't even third best in Brazil defeats what is arguably the world's second best team, it does raise a few flags. Unfortunately, due to WSG being WSG, we didn't get to watch the match due to not being streamed, but when Team 1 played Fnatic, they got completely crushed with a scoreline of 16-7 on Mirage and a 16-6 scoreline on Nuke respectively. This continues a bad trend of results for Cloud9 since their massive major win earlier in the year. The last pointer that should be noted from WSG is the form of Space Soldiers. Space Soldiers dominated their way through the entire event, and sure, their bracket wasn't the most difficult, with their hardest opponents other than Fnatic being the Russian mixed team and Godsend, but overall this team time and time again has been a very promising mix of players, with names such as Xantares and Kalex being compared to some of the biggest talents in the world. On the 9th of March, a big story was released that Mixwell had joined G2 Esports to replace their captain and star player shox. This story was big, but it had very little closure surrounding the entire thing until the 19th of March, where G2 Esports would hold a podcast which had both shox and the G2 Esports owner himself, Ocelot, to explain the entire situation. Shox explained that he wanted to replace both NBK and Apex with Existence and SmithZz, but all of his other teammates except for Kenny S heavily opposed the move. The first move, Existence, had been wanted in G2 Esports by unanimously all of the fans for many months, but the latter of SmithZz was a surprise no one was happy to hear about. SmithZz was the coach of G2 Esports, but before the acquisition of Kenny S, Apex, and NBK last year, played within the roster. SmithZz is a legendary player, but his form during his player career towards the end was pitiful to watch. G2 Esports was a team that was competing against the world's best, and when your main operator misses shots like this...
God, the flash actually helps. Wow, just super coordinated. Looking to do some damage.
It gets very hard to watch as a fan. Both shox and SmithZz himself have claimed that this form has risen overall, and he will not be playing with an op, as it would be going to Kenny S. But of course now we know that this roster will not come to be. The future of these players is incredibly uncertain, as they are still under their contracts, and Existence is under the contract of LDLC. Will they be able to create a new team, or will shox eventually get his dream team?